Hey guys, welcome back to Talking with Tyler, and on today's podcast I'll be recapping the San Francisco 49ers victory over the New York Jets this past Monday night, 32-19, with a very special guest, my dad. Welcome to the show, Dad.
Tyler, good to be back. First Talking with Tyler of the NFL season.
Yeah, this game was definitely disappointing, and I wanted to get right into it. Aaron Rodgers had his first full game as a New York Jet, coming off his Achilles injury last year. He went 13 for 21 for 167 yards, one touchdown pass, one interception. He didn't have his best stuff in this game, but it's still a little new to him. His getting used to all his new teammates, and also he did have an interception, which really wasn't his fault. It was deflected. And also, I feel like this game was one of the hardest games on this Jets schedule. And especially to open up the season, it's not easy. But it would have been nice for the game to have been closer. But the 49ers are coming off of a Super Bowl appearance. And if the Jets had it closer, I feel like they would have considered them as a Super Bowl team if they beat the 49ers this game. It would have been a little Super Bowl pre-show. So, Dad, what did you think of this game?
Definitely a difficult game, as you said. Traveling, to the West Coast, playing a night game, playing the 49ers, which is obviously a pretty talented team. Coming into the game, hearing that McCaffrey, wasn't going to be able to play, you thought maybe the Jets had an opportunity, maybe a leg up, maybe that might be, the thing that catapulted the Jets to the win. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen. I know in the beginning of the season, a lot of Jet fans are predicting 11, 12, 13 wins, which still might be the case, but. As you said, they lost 32-19. They scored a touchdown towards the end of the game. Really would have liked them to play a little bit better. Rodgers did look a little rusty, did look a little out of sorts. I think some of the players look a little winded. There might be something to be said for coaches in the future, whether it's Saleh or whoever it is. Do you play your starters in the preseason, or do you sit them? Is this what you get if they sit? What's your feeling on, starters playing in the preseason? You skate that fine line of trying to stay healthy, but also run the risk of being a little rusty and maybe not in game shape.
Yeah, I thought they should have played a couple starters in the preseason because, a lot of the starters in this game had, really no clue what was happening, especially on the defense. They let up 147 yards to Jordan Mason, their backup running back behind Christian McCaffrey, who is on injured reserve. The Jets defense was just had no sort of rhythm here. They did really poor job on the rushing side, and also on the passing side wasn't much different. Brock Purdy threw for 231 yards, and I feel like the wide receivers on their team got a lot of open routes and stuff. What did you think of the Jets' defense? Do you think there's anything for them to improve on before the next game?
Well, I think there's a lot for them to improve on. If not, Jet fans such as ourselves are going to be in for a long season. In the beginning of the game, both had, drives that did not result in points. But ultimately, the Niners, after their initial punt, went down and scored on 8 consecutive possessions. Now, for a team that's boasting or touting one of the best defenses in the league, or top 5 defense, it did not look as such. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, just cut them apart, as well as Jordan Mason, like you said, running as a backup for 147 yards. They just didn't seem to have an answer for either Brock Person or Mason. Now, you can say for the defense, letting up, multiple times, getting in the red zone multiple times, multiple possessions, only letting up field goals, but you also have to get off the field. As a defense, you have to be able to get what we hope is a better offense on the field. We have to get the ball in our playmakers' hands. And our playmakers have to be Aaron Rodgers, has to be Breece Hall, has to be, Garrett Wilson. And we lost the time of possession battle.
Yeah, like what you said about the number of field goals the 49ers had. They had 6 field goals, almost the number of points the Jets lost by. And I think that was the main reason why the Jets lost this game, according to the number of field goals they gave up. But the defense was on the field for most of the game. Time of possession for the 49ers was 38 minutes, 40 seconds. According to the Jets, it was 21 minutes, 20 seconds. So the offense didn't really have a lot of time of possession for the Jets side of the ball. The defense had a lot of things to do in this game to stop this tough 49ers offense. So, Dad, according to the time of possessions, how can the Jets handle this? How can they handle this time of possession in the future games?
Yeah, I think the stat was, I believe it was for Aaron Rodgers' whole entire career. It was the least amount of time of possession in his, illustrious Hall of Fame 19-year career. And I know during talking with Tyler last year, we spoke about, needing to get the ball in our playmakers' hands. And more so last year, we talked about Garrett Wilson. He just, was a stud out there, but was not able to get the ball. Now, he had 11 looks, 6 receptions for 60 yards, broke one off for 16, but still was not able to, find pay dirt, not able to find the end zone. And, it's a very much of a push-pull, a give and take. Defense has to do a better job. They have to be able to get, some 3 and outs. They have to be able to make some tough stops to enable, their opponent to punt the ball. Now, as you know, I don't think your fans know, I was not able to see the game directly. I was at a work event that I had to go to, a work meeting. And, I watched the recap. I was watching the play-by-play. And I'm not 100% sure, but what do you think? Do you think that the new kickoff rule potentially, changes the dynamic with the ball going into the end zone, getting the ball at the 30? So now it's a 70-yard field instead of potentially, a 75 or an 80-yard. Less. Starting from the 20. Starting at the 30. Does that automatically put these teams and these kickers in positions where you're almost guaranteed to score? Is that what the NFL is going to look like? We saw last night, the Bills putting up 31 points. We saw Dallas putting up some big numbers. We saw the Minnesota Vikings with the greatest quarterback, or what looked to be the greatest quarterback of all time, Sam Darnold, completing his first 12 out of 12 possessions against the G-Men. But do you think with the short field, it might produce more? Well, it didn't for the Jets, but it might for teams. So defense are really going to have to bear down and try and get stops.
Yeah, definitely. The Jets' biggest offensive possession came in the first quarter with 10:58 left on the clock. The Jets' first touchdown of the game. They had 12 plays, possession of 7 minutes, 7 seconds. I think that was one of the biggest drives from this game, according to the Jets' offense. They went 70 yards and scored a touchdown to Breece Hall. He ran it in there. That was definitely helpful to him to get started on his season. And also, I wanted to bring up Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard had an easy catch in the beginning of the game that he dropped on third down. That definitely haunted him. But he did a good job in the second half coming back off of that. And he finished with a total of 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. The 2 touchdowns came in crunch time. But I thought he made a good adjustment to this to some of these catches, and he was able to haul a couple in. And he also had Aaron Rodgers' first touchdown as a Jet. That bomb by Aaron Rodgers over the middle, free play. That's what Aaron Rodgers is known for in his Green Bay time.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you like about Lazard's performance? Was there anything that you didn't like? Or
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the drop. I thought the drop was a huge momentum killer, but, the Jets were able to come back and, counter their initial field goal to actually lead the game 7-3 after the first quarter. So, you like to see a little bit of the resilience there. I think as Jet fans, you saw what we hope is going to be a lot more to come throughout the season as we take on Tennessee, this upcoming weekend, and then have a short week going into Thursday night football against the Patriots. But you hope to see a little bit more of that. Now, obviously, Lazard and Rodgers have some history, playing for Green Bay in previous years. And, Lazard just looked out of sorts last year and really never got into the groove with the then Jets quarterback, Zach Wilson. So I guess all in all, you could say you like the production of yards, you like the catch, you like him being able to get open. You saw that little, when Rodgers had the free play, he was able to draw the defense offside, getting that free play. Those two look very, very much in tune. So maybe you saw a little bit of what we have to come for them, and maybe that continuity between, Garrett Wilson, some of our other wide receivers, maybe our tight ends, Conklin and, Rucker, maybe being able to dump the ball off to Breece Hall. Maybe those are things to come. So you got to remember, Aaron Rodgers has not played theoretically a game for well over a year and a half, based on him being hurt in preseason. Yes, last year was a total loss of as far as the season. So, you expected some rust. I guess silver lining, he came out of the season. He came out of this game unscathed. He did sit, and we did see Tyrod Taylor, who I think might be one of the better, if not the best, backup quarterback in the NFL. But, as all Jet fans, would tell you, if we see Tyrod Taylor, I mean, something catastrophic has happened with Aaron Rodgers. So all due respect to him, we do not want to see Tyrod Taylor. The only time we want to see him is when we have a blowout on the opposite end and, we're able to sit Rodgers and play some other people. So, Tyler, I think when we talked about chalking up, in the beginning of the season, how many wins, and this game potentially being a toss-up, and in most cases probably being a loss. So all is not, lost for this season. All is, Jet fans, I don't think should go into DEFCON 5, but we're on a heightened awareness now that, we need to play better. Jets need to play better. They need to have a real turnaround game against Tennessee this year. This upcoming Sunday.
Yeah, definitely. This wasn't one of the games that the Jets had marked down as a definite win. It was definitely one of those games where it can be either a loss or a win, no matter what happens. The 49ers are just a good all-around team. Their offense and defenses really put together some show in the NFC, in the whole NFL. They also got a big addition on their defensive side, Leonard Floyd, the one that actually got Aaron Rodgers hurt, but he didn't do much in this game. But that's still a really big piece for them, especially since he played on a Bills team who is now like in the middle, on the top of the AFC actually, and this. So I want to preview the Titans game coming up. I hope the Jets win this. It's a must-win for them. They need to get back to 1-1, 500 on the year. This is probably going to be a division that the Jets are going to be fighting to beat these four teams because the Jaguars, the Texans, the Colts, and the Titans are all going to be fighting for playoff spots this year. And the Titans surprisingly had a 17-0 lead against the Bears last week, and they took the loss. The Bears came back and won 24-17. And I hope the Jets just start off well and can supposedly close all the missing gaps that they had in this 49ers game. So, Dad, what do you think about this upcoming game against the Titans? Anything they need to adjust to?
Yeah, I hate to say it's a must-win week 2 into the season, but I kind of agree with you. With having a short week and playing the Patriots, who is our arch nemesis, in a short turnaround for Thursday night, you'd like to go into that season sitting at 1-1, in particular since Buffalo really dismantled Miami in last night's game, Thursday night game, and we'd be remiss if we didn't wish best of luck and health to Tua. He had another concussion and took a really big hit to the head, and they're concerned about his season. But I think we'll touch probably upon this when we get into your first of the season studs and duds, and I'll give you my dud right now, which was the defensive line. I think our defensive line needs to be able to put more pressure on the quarterback. Brock Purdy was sat back there pretty easily. While he does get the ball out relatively quickly, he was dunking and dinking. He also had some deep balls that he was able to throw. He's a pretty good quarterback for being, the last pick in the overall draft. But our defensive line needs to be able to put more pressure. I think Ulbrich, has the defensive backs and the safeties that he needs, that he could trust them, where he could really try and let his defense loose, whether it comes with some blitzes or some crossing patterns or some stints or different things like that. But I just feel like, the defensive line needs to put more pressure on. So they would be, my dud for the game. And, I think based on the roster and on paper, we say, Hassan Reddick, not a big deal. We have all these other players, all these other studs. It did not show in this game. And while we thought maybe Hassan Reddick might be a luxury, he actually might be a necessity. Now, I'm not sure if the Jets are going to, the Jets and the GM and the owner are going to reward him for holding out. But, over time, the Jets might realize that he's somebody that we need.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think the defense is going to be my stud too, especially on the rushing side of the ball. Jordan Mason had 147 yards. He's not even a starter. He's a backup. He took the place of Christian McCaffrey and did a really nice job for him. Dad, who's your stud?
I'm going to go on the opposite side of the ball. I'm going to say the offensive line as a whole. Not stellar, but they kept Aaron Rodgers healthy. They did give him enough time as he needs to be able to throw the ball and see the field. So, it's a relatively, I don't want to say a new offensive line because we've had these players for a while, but they're still trying to gel, and they're still trying to get, Aaron Rodgers cadences and different things like that. But all in all, for not really playing together in the preseason, having, I believe Moses is is new, and Vera Tucker's coming back from injury. So all in all, they came out relatively healthy. Aaron Rodgers came out healthy, so they would be my stud. How about you?
Yeah, I have to agree with that too. The offensive line only gave up one sack on Aaron Rodgers, and he had a lot of time in the pocket to throw. He wasn't really under pressure a lot. He only had 8 incompletions the whole entire game. And I thought the offensive line did really well. I think Morgan Moses struggled a little bit on the right side, but other than that, I think the offensive line definitely has the pieces this year, and they did a really nice job. Joe Douglas getting out and in the offseason and getting these big-time targets and stuff. But if I had to pick another one, I think it would be Wizard, based off of stats. I did like him, though. He had 6 receptions for 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have most of his receptions in crunch time, but he came back after halftime and really took over this wide receiver group and led the team in receiving yards in the first game against the 49ers.
So as we're getting towards the end of the podcast, we're going to bring back Tyler's takeaways. So what are your takeaways from this game that already took place, and what do you take away from that game as far as moving forward for the Jets to be on a trajectory of what we hope is a playoff caliber team that's going to end this drought since 2010 where we have not made the playoffs? What's your takeaway on the New York Jets?
So my takeaway has to be, I feel like the Jets really improved a lot in the offseason and didn't really show much in this game. The offense looked somewhat decent. The defense looked lost in the sauce. They just didn't come up at all. And they didn't really bring a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy. I think he only got sacked once or twice in this game. And I think the defense definitely needs to do something this week before the short week against the Titans and then the home game against the Patriots. But also I think the offense needs to improve on Aaron Rodgers just needs to start working on some of his longer throws. I think he did a lot of short passes and tosses, which I wasn't really a fan of that. But I think those are my takeaways for this game.
Okay. I would say my takeaways would be, you bring a very, very valid point of not really stretching the field down, stretching the field with long throws. And that could be, a microcosm of Breece Hall really not really breaking off some runs or not really being the force that I think Jet fans and Jets, the Jet team needs. So, my takeaway is we have to not believe the hype that we're, one of the best 5 defenses. We have to actually go out there and prove it. While we might be on paper, we have to actually go out there and do it. So I think that's one important takeaway that we got from the game. And 2, like you said, I think with Breece Hall maybe, being a dominant force, getting the ball, showing that he could, break tackles, that he could get off in the open field, might allow Rodgers to throw the ball a little deeper. I think even if you throw a bomb and you don't complete it, you still stretch that defense. That defense has to respect the fact that you have downfield threats. I'd like to see us, 1, get the ball in our playmakers' hands longer, which would be Rodgers, Breece, and obviously Garrett Wilson. I think we need our defense to get some drives that end with punts. I think we need to get some turnovers, and we need to get the ball. Aaron Rodgers, we have to dominate time of possession. And I'm hoping that against Tennessee, we travel well back from San Fran. We put the work in this week, and that the Jets come out victorious against the Titans this Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I definitely like your points. So thank you, Dad, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. He'll be back in the coming weeks to recap all of the Jets games, previews, and some recaps. He'll be back next week to recap the Titans game and also give a little preview to the Patriots. And then he'll be back in the following week to do the Patriots recap and then so on. So I want to close it out by doing a little Jets chant to get the fans hyped up for the start of the season. Jets, 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 Jets. Hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Bye, guys.